Hello and welcome to a special behind-the-scenes thing. I am Garen Reaver and I'm joined today by SkulShurtugalTCG.
How's it going, YouTube? This is Skull.
And this is a special behind-the-scenes thing because it's for a video on his channel. I recently appeared in a collaboration for Everything Wrong with Pokémon the First Movie, which can be found here on his channel, and I recommend very highly that you go check that out. And we're going to be talking about what we thought of it beyond sort of what's said in the video.
What better way to, well, I mentioned this in the ending of my video, but what better way to basically wrap this series up before moving on to my new format than to go back and redo the very first movie in a much better way, because I've learned so much since then. And what better way to do it than to invite you to once again come and collaborate with me. You recently did, Arceus and the Jewel of Life, and that was a whole lot of fun, and this one was a whole lot of fun. So I figure why not have you come and help me out with this as well. And even more appropriately, we're almost to that point in the anime when that movie takes place anyway for your PokéSense series. So it was, once again, a pleasure collaborating with you, and this is a very special movie. I think I've watched it so many times, I finally decided that it's not as good as I think it is. But I think the reason I personally love it so much is because of how good it could have been, and plus all the nostalgia from it coming out when I was 7, and just when Pokemon was at its hugest in history, just being pounded left and right with Pokemon stuff, and then there's this big movie event. Well, when it came out, it was actually the biggest animated film of all time. People don't remember that. And it was a very big thing to go and see the movie, and, I mean, even almost 20 years later, it's still, watching the movie, I'm just filled with nostalgia, even when we have to sit down and nitpick what's wrong with it, which I don't mind.
Yeah, I'd never seen the Birth of Mew short in front of it. I'd never seen that before I saw it to Sin It, and that was interesting.
I mean, that was 20 minutes of footage basically that they cut from the film. I feel like that just helped out so much. It explained a few things, and I mean, it didn't explain that much, but it definitely helped you to feel more connected, more sympathetic towards Mewtwo.
It does, but in another way, it really irritated me. Because it does that classic thing where it shows you a character's backstory and then the character forgets it, essentially making it pointless. Because if it's supposed to be a formative thing in his past that he doesn't remember, so it's not formative, so it doesn't matter.
I know.
As interesting as it was to see, sorry, I keep talking over you. It's as interesting as it was to see. It's a cliche that I really don't like.
No, I completely understand. But the short made me feel maybe not as strong of feelings towards Mewtwo. What it made me feel were really strong feelings towards Amber. There was so much supplemental material to the film that wasn't in the film itself that really could have helped the film out if they had put it in there. For example, there was a radio dramatization of that short that was aired in Japan in the few weeks leading up to the movie's release. Literally, that dramatization is like 6 episodes, 30 minutes each episode, and they just expanded on the short, The Birth of Mewtwo. It explained a few things like Amber was 5 when she died in real life, and the cloning process basically meant that she could only live until the age of 5 before her clone died, because that's as old as she got in real life. So that helped explain that, which, wasn't in the film. She just died for no reason.
But would that mean that she had a genetic thing, a genetic illness? Because if it's something environmental, then she wouldn't get it again. So it must be
she didn't have a genetic. What happened is she died in a car crash.
Oh, then how the hell does a clone also die at the same time? That makes no sense.
The genetic material that was taken from her was of a 5-year-old girl. Once you get to that point,
Yeah, but genetic material. I mean, a clone doesn't live to the age of the point when it was cloned.
Oh, we know this now, but you got to think that in the 90s, cloning was the big thing. I mean, Jurassic Park had just come out earlier that decade, and it was the biggest hit that had ever been out at that time. And there was just cloning everywhere, and no one was supposed to make sense of it.
But the cloning in that makes more sense than this cloning. Yeah. I mean, being able to clone dinosaurs, yeah, that's completely bonkers. Being able to clone dinosaurs from mosquitoes and who suck dinosaur blood, but it didn't have them going, all right, well, we can clone the blood after it's been sucked. But I'm afraid we can't make the full dinosaur because the clone has memories.
Yeah, we're going.
It knows it's going to get sucked.
We are very much going off on a tangent.
We are, but it's a point that yeah.
No. Trust me, I understand and I agree. And like I said at the very beginning, I think I like this movie more for what it could have been than what it actually was. If they had been faithful to the original Japanese dub, I think it would have been a whole lot better. Because now the English version is just Mewtwo just wants to destroy everything for reasons instead of actually having a reason to do it.
I don't know. I never, as a child, I had no problem with his motivations.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
all.
When you're a child, you don't care. You just think it looks cool. That's basically it.
And even now, when I'm older, I think his motivations he doesn't know who he is. He knows that he comes from Mew, and that he sees himself as superior to Mew, and he wants to prove it. And that, to me, that was enough motivation. To me, that is enough motivation for him to do the whole mega attack on Mew thing.
Yeah, and to that extent I do agree. I don't know. I feel like this really should have just 100% focused on Mewtwo. We got nothing but Mewtwo for 20 minutes, and that was 20 minutes of amazing film. And then we get Ash and his friends, and suddenly it just fell apart so quick. It was just a story of convenience because Ash needed to be there because he was the star of the show, is basically what it came down to.
Well, the motivations for him going to the island are about as fleshed out as pretty much any game character ever. You don't do it. You don't think, should I do this? Should I not? You do it because it's there and it's something to do. And that seems to be very much the way Ash operates. It's like, I've gone to a town. Side quest? Okay. How do I do it?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about that, the broader scheme of things, that is just how Ash is. But within the confines of the movie itself, it just doesn't make much sense. The one thing to consider is that this movie was supposed to be the series finale. And if the
Seriously?
Yeah. If the Porygon episode had not, thrown the series into hiatus for 6 months, it would have aired the weekend after episode 80, which was, basically the season 1 finale, and it would have been the series finale. But two things.
That would have been a really good season finale.
Yeah, it would have. It would have been a series finale. It would have been an amazing series finale. But two things happened. One, the Porygon episode, which made the series go into hiatus, but the movie's release date was set, so they had to release it just who knows when. And it turned out to be so freaking popular beyond anyone's wildest dreams, that it would have been ridiculous to cancel the series after just one season. They had to keep going. So, I mean, this movie would have been amazing as the finale, but as it is, we just have to accept that it's flawed, but still okay.
But Mew is absolutely adorable.
No one will argue that. Absolutely no. It was just two big eyes on a face, and that just looked adorable.
But it's like tail and the squeaky noise it makes is going around the wheel. No, yes, that. Oh,
actually,
I love it.
A guy did voice Mew for the first movie. He's sort of a recurring character. He always has a part somewhere in each of the films. For example, in Arceus and the Jewel of Life, he voiced Marcus.
And if you want to see Arceus and the Jewel of Life, you can see it here. Hang on, isn't Marcus Dan Brown? Dan Green?
No, that was Damos.
Sorry, did you say Arceus?
Yeah.
Marcus?
Marcus?
Which one's Marcus?
Marcus
He was the evil sun god.
Yeah.
Evil sun god. Wow. Oh, yeah, I know who you mean now, yeah.
Jason Griffith.
I don't know who that is.
He plays Sonic.
Sorry, we seem to completely confuse. Sonic is Mew. Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay.
The Japanese voice of Mew is the same as the English voice of Mew.
Okay, so, and that's Sonic.
No, the English voice for Marcus, who Mew played in Japanese, is not the voice of Sonic.
Mew voiced Marcus.
In Japanese, yes.
The Pokemon Mew voiced the Japanese version of Marcus, who is secretly Sonic.
Yes, if you want to think about it that way.
Okay. Alright, glad we're on the same page.
If I could just give my final thoughts on this film.
Yeah, go ahead.
I feel like there's just... When you get past the surface, there's a lot of really deep things that are in this film. It probably could have been a whole lot deeper than what it turned out to be. Like I said, I feel like when Ash and his friends show up, it just goes downhill so quickly. But
what, you mean during the opening credits?
Well, not just that. Like just whenever you see them on screen instead of Mewtwo, I feel like it's just shallow. But whenever Mewtwo is there, whenever you explore its story, it just gets so deep and it really gets you thinking. And I think that's something that Pokemon movies has sort of lost, is the philosophy side of it, the philosophical conundrums and the deep things that really made you think after you were done with the movie.
In contrast, I think the bits with Ash and Co are essential in that Mewtwo's story is good and it's deep, but the things he's saying when he's not musing about reality are just generic villain things. I'm going to destroy the world. I'll spare you. I will be the most powerful.
And like I said, I believe that is an error just with 4Kids dubbing it into English. Trust me, if you watch the Japanese version with subtitles, it's a whole lot more entertaining.
Overall, it's the movie. To be honest, it's not the movie I think of most when if you say Pokemon movie, I don't think of that one. To be honest, I think of Pokemon 2000. What's it called? The Power of One?
Yeah.
I think of that one more just because I was a bit older when I watched it, so it stuck with me a bit more. But the bits in this one, they're good in a fairly nostalgic way, but I don't know. There's a reason I've not watched it in many years, because it's just never called me back to watch it.
Let me ask you something. Do you think that the Birth of Mewtwo, the prologue, do you think that adds to the movie, makes you enjoy it more, or is it just something extra?
Only because I'm older. It would not have added to me 15 years ago. It would have added very little and I would have become bored. But now that I'm older, now that I can appreciate these things, now that cloning isn't just a sci-fi word that gets brushed off, it adds a lot to the story and the characterization.
Yeah.
But I think it was right to leave it out of the theatrical release back then.
The prologue just adds an extra bit of, I don't know, kind of almost darkness, because if you think about it, the only people who knew about Amber and the process of cloning Amber were the people on that island who made Mewtwo, and Mewtwo destroyed them, so any knowledge of Amber just disappeared after that, and I just find that tragic almost.
Wait, is that why Mr. Fuji isn't in the anime at all?
Right, because he killed him.
Holy crap. Jesus, that's never occurred to me. I've always sort of wondered why he's not in it. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that was Mr. Fuji, and Mewtwo killed him.
Oh, God.
I mean, yeah, that adds a bit of tragedy to it, doesn't it?
Jesus Christ. Oof. So yes, that's our thoughts on that, I guess. Let's end on the bombshell.
I believe we have quite a few outtakes, don't we?
I think at least some of them are mine.
Let's have a listen.
Are all of these trainers that Mewtwo thought fit the bill of... Are all of these trainers that Mewtwo thought would fit the bill... Are all of these trainers that Mewtwo thought would fit the bill of powerful? As far as I can tell, Farvergungen... As far as I can tell, Farvergungen means to... As far as I can tell, Farvergungen... Ah, man. This is... Man. Farvergungen... Farvergnugen. As far as I can tell, Farvergnugen means to enjoy driving. Why is that included?
They open a Pokemon movie for kids with several images of Mewtwo's psychic ability sort of explains its telepathic ability? Sorry, there's a bit of a typo there. Mewtwo's scientific ability sort of explains its telepathic ability, but Amber 2 implies she's communicated with the others before. Bang. Bad guy vows to take over the world cliché. This view puts Team Rocket on the... This view puts Team Rocket on a ridge to Ash's forward left, but then they're seen directly right of the table. I guess Ash, Brock, and Ash. Sorry. Got away from me. Presumably Dragonite flew off and left that, so Mewtwo should not be bloody hell, sorry. Presumably Dragonite flew off and left that, so Mewtwo... Sorry, chair squeaking. I do apologise. It was established very early on in the TV show that in the event of an emergency, Pokemon can be teleported to other Pokemon centers. So this wouldn't really be that big of a deal. It's doing so well. It was established very early on in the TV show that in the It was established very early on in the TV show that, in the event of an emergency, Pokemon can be teleported to other Pokemon centers, so this wouldn't really be that big of a deal. That's a very lucky wave. Not only did it not carry anyone away, but it stripped... Jesus. Not my night. That's a very lucky wave. Not only did it not carry Sorry. That's a very lucky wave. Not only did it not carry anyone away, but it stipped tree. That's a very lucky wave. Not only did it not carry anyone away, but it stripped Team Rocket of their costumes. And nothing more. As for cut content, you don't tend to get a lot of that in collaborations due to the back and forth nature of them. However, I believe there is one.
Yeah, in the end credits, we get 4 pop songs that are played over the credits, which basically have nothing to do with the movie itself, which was, of course, very popular in the 90s, but still it is a sin. When I was starting to edit the footage, I wanted to play a few seconds of the songs before listing them as a sin, but I realized that if I did that, then I'd probably get a really stiff copyright claim, which I don't want to do. So you're just going to have to take our word for it if you haven't actually watched the movie, that those are pop songs.
Well, that about sums up our thoughts on Pokemon the first movie. Thank you very much to Skull for appearing in this video.
And thank you very much for appearing in mine.
And if you haven't yet seen that, have a look here, where you can watch it, and also check out the collaboration where I appeared in Everything Wrong with Arceus and the Duel of Life, here.
And click on this one to see the episode where I appeared in his.
Yes, of course. That was back when Pokesims was Everything Wrong with. That was Everything Wrong with.
It was the very last episode of that.
Yes, it was.
Just thought
Battle
of this.
For the,
that was your last episode in that format, and this was my last episode in my format.
Oh, we're trendsetters, really. Right, thank you very much, and we'll catch you later. Go check out the videos.